My name is Darren, and I'm 26 years old, working the night shift at a gas station just off the highway. One of those places that stays open 24/7, but rarely sees any traffic past 2 in the morning, which is exactly why I took the job in the first place. Because it was supposed to be quiet, no customers, no chaos, just me, the constant hum of the fluorescent lights above me, and the occasional coffee refill to stay awake while the world outside slept. Most nights followed the same rhythm. I'd throw on some music through the tiny backroom speaker, keep an eye on the grainy security camera feed playing on the miniature black and white monitor above the counter, and maybe flip through a few pages of whatever paperback I had thrown in my backpack, just something to kill time during those long, uneventful hours. But what happened last Tuesday night, that night wasn't like the others. It was different, and what unfolded during those few dark hours fundamentally shifted something inside me, something that may never go back to normal again. Maybe it changed me forever. It began like any other shift. I clocked in exactly at 10 p.m., like I always do, and my manager Brian, same guy, same lazy smile, tossed me the keys, gave me the usual sarcastic "don't fall asleep, man" joke, and walked out the door like he did every night without fail. By 11:30, I had already done everything. Cleaned the counter till it sparkled, restocked the fridges with cold drinks, and microwaved one of those sad leftover burritos from the back freezer. And the place was dead quiet. Absolutely nothing going on. No cars pulling up, no one walking past the windows, no sounds except for the soft buzzing of the coolers and the tick of the wall clock behind me. The station had 4 security cameras. One that watched over the parking lot, one that faced the inside of the store near the door, another behind the building right by the dumpsters, and the last one pointed straight down the narrow side alley that led to the back entrance. And even though I didn't expect to ever need them, I always kept an eye on them out of habit, because when you're that bored, you notice even the smallest things. It was around midnight when I first saw the headlights, a silver sedan crawling slowly into the lot, rolling to a stop near Pump 2. But oddly, no one got out right away, and for at least 20 seconds or so, I just stared at the screen, waiting for a door to open. Finally, the driver's door opened, and a man stepped out, tall, wearing a dark hoodie pulled up over his head, and instead of walking toward the pump or heading for the store like any normal person would, he just stood there, facing the building, not moving, not speaking, not doing anything except staring straight at the front like he was trying to decide something. I leaned closer to the screen and tried to make out his face, but the shadows from the hood made it hard. All I could see was a beard, maybe late 30s or early 40s, hard to tell, but it was the stillness, the complete lack of motion that made my stomach twist a little. After a minute or so of that, he suddenly turned, not toward the gas pumps or the store entrance, but toward the narrow side alley that led to the back of the building. And that's when I felt it, that instant tightening in my chest, because there's no reason anyone should be going back there, not unless they're trying to do something they shouldn't. Without even thinking much, I stood up and immediately locked the front doors, just in case, then flipped the monitor feed to the back camera, and sure enough, there he was, walking past the dumpsters, slowly, calmly, staring right at the back entrance like he was examining it. That door is always locked, a deadbolt we never forget to check. But I still went back there just to be sure, walked down the hallway quietly, checked it with my own hand, and yeah, the bolt was engaged tight. I stood there for a few seconds, listening, and everything was silent until I heard a single, soft knock on the metal. I didn't respond. Another knock came, this one louder, more forceful. That's when I stepped back, turned around, and quietly made my way back to the front. Switched the camera view again, but the alley was empty. He was just gone. I thought maybe he had left, got back in his car and drove off. But when I flipped to the parking lot feed, the silver sedan was still there, parked, engine off, but now the driver's seat was empty. That was the moment I felt a kind of cold I can't describe. Not the physical kind, but that deep instinctive cold when you know something is wrong, when your body realizes you're not safe before your brain even finishes the thought. I grabbed the phone and called Brian, hoping he'd pick up and tell me it was nothing, but but it rang 4 times and went to voicemail. No answer. I considered calling the police right then, but what could I say that wouldn't sound like I was being paranoid? A man walked around my store and knocked on a door. They'd probably just tell me to sit tight, keep everything locked, and wait. So I did. Locked every door, every latch, sat back down behind the counter, trying to calm myself and convince my brain this was just a weird, one-time thing. Another 30 minutes went by with no sound, no movement. I even started to think maybe he got spooked and left. Maybe he was just some homeless guy, maybe drunk or high, just looking for shelter, and then gave up. But at exactly 1:00 a.m., the power went out. Everything. The lights, the coolers, the monitor, just shut down all at once, and I was suddenly in pitch blackness, standing there with nothing but the sound of my own breathing and the thundering of my heart in my chest. Luckily, the emergency light behind the counter kicked in. Small, dim, casting this weird red glow across the floor tiles, and I crouched down, fumbled under the counter, and found the flashlight we kept for emergencies. Clicked it on and watched as the beam flickered weakly, like it was just as scared as I was. I made my way to the back, heart pounding in my throat, opened the breaker box to check the switches, but everything was still on, which meant someone had cut the power from outside. That's when I heard it, a sharp metal clang from the back alley, like someone hitting a pipe or a dumpster, and I turned and sprinted to the front to grab the landline and call 911, but when I picked it up, there was nothing. No dial tone. It was dead. The phone lines had been cut, too. I was alone in the dark, no power, no phone, and somewhere out there, maybe even somewhere inside, was a man who clearly knew exactly what he was doing. I crouched low behind the counter and stared at the useless, dead monitor screens, and for a while, I didn't even move. I just waited, trying not to breathe too loud, trying not to let the fear win. Around 1:40, I heard the back door handle jiggle, soft at first, then more violently, like he was trying to force it open, and I crouched even lower, gripping the flashlight like it could protect me somehow. Then, silence. I don't know how long I stayed like that, maybe 10, maybe 20 minutes, but then there was a massive bang, so loud it made my ears ring, and it came not from the back, but from inside, from the storage room. That's when I knew he was inside the building. I must have forgotten to lock something, a window, a side door, something stupid, and now he was in. I grabbed the baseball bat we kept under the counter, mostly as a joke, and slowly crept down the hallway, the air getting thicker with every step, like I was walking underwater. The storage room door was slightly open, just a crack, and when I pushed it open with the bat raised, it was empty. Shelves, boxes, nothing else but the air smelled like sweat and metal, like blood or rust or something worse. Then I heard footsteps, not behind me, but up front. Fast footsteps, like he wanted me to know he was still there. I ran back, but he was gone again, like he was playing a game. By 2:15 a.m., I was drenched in sweat, my hands shaking, every creak of the old building making me jump, and I realized I had one last chance. The emergency exit on the side, near the bathrooms. It had a really old alarm on it, but maybe it still worked. I made my way toward it, staying low, every muscle tight, and when I reached the door, I quietly turned the lock, and that's when I heard the voice. It was soft, close, like it was whispering right next to my ear. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I froze, spun around with the flashlight. Nothing, just shadows. Then another whisper. "Just come out. You don't have to die scared." I didn't think. I ran, threw the door open, and the alarm went off, loud, shrieking, piercing, and I kept running into the road, not even looking back. I flagged down a trucker a few minutes later, begged him for his phone, and he let me call the cops. They came fast, but he was already gone. The back door had been jimmied open with a tool, the wires cut clean, and when they reviewed the security footage, before the blackout, they saw him walk the perimeter calmly, like he had done it before, like he had planned every single part of it. They never found him. No license plate on the car, no prints on the doors, no stolen cash, no sign of who he was or why he did it. Just a lingering, ice-cold fear that never really left me. Brian offered me time off. I never went back, not to that gas station, not to night shifts, And sometimes, late at night, when everything is too quiet and I feel like I'm alone again, I still hear that voice in my head, the whisper, soft, cruel, unforgettable. You don't have to die scared. My name is Ray, and I run a small roadside motel. Nothing fancy, just 10 rooms tucked off Route 47. Mostly used by truckers or tired travelers who just need a place to crash for the night. And for the past few years, I've been the only one handling the night shift, the front desk, the cleaning, the restocking, the whole thing alone. It's boring work most of the time, which was absolutely perfect for someone like me who likes quiet and routine. But that sense of peace didn't last forever, not after he showed up. He was a middle-aged guy, clean clothes, calm voice, nothing strange about him at first glance, and I remember it clearly. It was around 2:45 a.m. on a quiet Monday night when he walked in, calm as ever, and said his name was Craig. He looked at me, calm, almost polite, and said, "Just need a room for the night." I nodded, reached for the logbook, and told him, "Only have 2 rooms open, room 5 and room 6. The moment I said room 6, something changed in his face. His smile widened, just slightly, like I'd said something he'd been waiting to hear. "I'll take 6, he said. I gave him the key, took the cash, and that was it. Nothing out of the ordinary, or so I thought. But about an hour later, I glanced over at the camera feed and noticed something strange. He wasn't inside room 6. He was standing outside it. Just standing there, motionless, looking at the door for 20 minutes straight. I was about to call the room, maybe go check on him, when he finally moved and went inside. The next morning, after he left, I checked room 6, and everything was untouched. The bed perfectly made, the towels neatly folded, even the soap was still in its wrapper. But in the trash, I found something that gave me pause, a crumpled photo of a woman, maybe mid-30s, brown hair, smiling gently. And on the back, a single word was written in neat handwriting. Melissa. There was nothing else. No note, no explanation, just that one name. It was weird, but not illegal, so I just threw it out and tried not to overthink it. The next night, he came back. Same guy, same smile. He asked casually, "Room 6 available?" But it wasn't. I had already given it to a trucker earlier in the night. So I told him only room 3 was open. He frowned, just for a split second, then nodded slowly and said, "That's fine." Paid cash again. No luggage, no ID. At 4 a.m., he left. Didn't sleep, didn't touch the bed, just sat in the chair all night. The next morning, room 3 was spotless, like he'd never even been there. But the real weird part? When I went to clean room 6, the one he didn't stay in, I found another photo slipped under the door. A different woman this time. Same handwriting on the back, Melissa. Now I was officially creeped out. So I went back and reviewed the footage. At exactly 2:40 a.m., he walked out of room 3 and just stood outside room 6. Again, for 23 minutes. Just looking at the door, not moving, not knocking, like he was waiting for something or someone. I told my manager the next day. He brushed it off with a shrug. He said, "People are weird. As long as he pays, who cares?" But I couldn't shake it, so I started keeping notes. Night 3, Craig didn't show. Night 4, he came back. Again, he asked for room 6, and this time, it was available, so I gave it to him, but not without taking precautions. I hid a phone in the vents of room 6, set it to record audio because I needed to know what the hell was going on in that room. That night, the mic picked up one thing, his voice, not talking on the phone, just talking into the empty air. "I know you're not here, but I'll wait." Then silence. Then again, "You were always here. Room 6 is yours." That was enough for me. I started digging. Old police logs, motel incident reports, anything I could find. Finally, something surfaced. 10 years ago, a woman named Melissa Klein had been murdered inside room 6, stabbed by her boyfriend, a jealous ex. The killer's name? Craig Martin. But according to the files, he died in prison 2 years ago, which means whoever's been renting room 6 now is not that Craig. I sent the photo I found to a retired cop I know, a guy who worked on local cases back in the day. He called me an hour later. He said, "That's not Craig Martin." "But the woman?" "Yeah, that's Melissa Klein. That's her real photo, from the case." I asked him, "So who the hell is this guy?" There was a long pause on the line. Then he said, "Could be a copycat or someone who got obsessed with the murder." I didn't go to work the next night, called in sick. Asked my coworker Dan to cover. Dan didn't know the full story. At 3:30 a.m., he texted me, "That room 6 guy's back, paid double to stay again." 4:30 a.m. He's pacing, watching the other rooms. At 5 a.m., "Yo, something's off. Think I saw him with a knife in his pocket." I called Dan. No answer. I drove there in 10 minutes. The parking lot was empty, except for Craig's car. The lobby was dark, no sign of Dan, but in the logbook, clear as day, it read, "Craig Charon, at room 6, 2:50 a.m. I ran to room 6. The door was open, the lights were on, and inside, I found Dan. He was sitting on the floor, tied to a chair with motel bed sheets, his mouth taped shut, shaking like hell, but he was alive. And on the wall above the bed, written in thick red lipstick, were the words, "You're not her. She never checked out." The cops showed up 20 minutes later. They searched at everything. But Craig was gone, just vanished. The security footage showed him entering the motel at 2:50 and leaving at 5:20 a.m. Then nothing. He never showed up again, never found. But here's the part that stays with me, the part that still keeps me up at night. Who was he waiting for? And what was he planning to do when she finally walked through that door? My name is Ethan. I'm 26, and I do part-time ride-sharing at night, mostly for extra cash. It's not a bad gig if you know which areas to avoid, and I usually stick to the safer parts of town. But that Tuesday night, I got a long-distance pickup request from someone heading out of the city. About an hour away. Rural highway, barely any streetlights. I accepted it because the pay was decent, and it was my last ride for the night. The passenger was a guy named Marcus, mid-30s, quiet, dressed neatly. He didn't talk much, just said, "Drop me off near the junction after mile 82. That stretch of road is long and isolated. It's a 2-lane highway with dense trees on both sides. I've driven it maybe twice before, and both times it was dead empty at night." We left the city around 1:20 a.m. I kept the music low, just enough to fill the silence. About 30 minutes in, I noticed headlights behind us. A car, black, low to the ground, looked like a sedan. Nothing unusual at first, until I realized it had been following us exactly for the past 10 minutes. No attempt to pass, no change in distance, just hanging there. I slowed down a bit. The car slowed too. I sped up. So did it. Still, no attempt to overtake. Just behind me. I glanced at Marcus. He was staring out the side window like he hadn't noticed a thing. I asked casually, "You know if someone might be following you?" He didn't turn, just said, "Don't worry about it." That answer made my chest tighten. At mile 73, I turned down a smaller side road to see if the car would keep going straight. It didn't. It turned with us. Same distance, still no lights flashing, no honk. Just there. I was officially freaked out. "I think we're being followed," I said, more firmly this time. Marcus finally turned to look at me. His face was calm. Then he said, "Just get me to mile 82. You'll be fine." Fine? I was driving through pitch-black forest roads with a stranger in my back seat and another car mimicking every move I made. I didn't feel fine. Then something even worse happened. The road opened into a longer straight stretch, and I turned off the main headlights for a second. Something drivers sometimes do to test if the other car is reacting. The car behind me did the exact same thing, turned its headlights off. Just 2 vehicles now, driving in the dark, the moon the only light source. And that's when I snapped. I hit the brakes hard and pulled over. The black car did the same, 50 feet behind. Stopped, engine running. Marcus leaned forward slightly and said, "Please, don't get out." "Who is that?" I asked. He said, "I don't know, but I've seen that car before." "Before tonight?" I asked. He nodded. For 3 days, different roads, different cities, always the same distance. Now my hands were shaking. I didn't know what kind of mess I was in, but it wasn't just a bad passenger. I put the car back in gear and floored it. No more tricks, just drive. Fast. The black car followed. But this time it inched closer. From 50 feet to 40, then 30. High beams flashed once, then again, and then it started to swerve slightly, like trying to scare me. I was doing 100 kilometers per hour now, trying to keep the wheel steady. We were just 5 kilometers from the drop-off when suddenly the black car pulled into the other lane, right next to me. I could see the driver now, hood up, face in shadow. He was staring at me, not at Marcus, just at me. I shouted, "What the hell is this?" Marcus whispered, "Whatever happens, don't stop." Then the black car slowed down and vanished behind us. Just like that, gone. When we reached the junction at mile 82, Marcus said, "Stop here." There was nothing there, just a gravel patch beside the road. He got out slowly, handed me a thick envelope, and said, "You don't know me. You never saw me. Take this and forget the road." He disappeared down a trail on foot. I looked inside the envelope. Cash, more than I'd make in a month. I drove home fast, windows up, checking the mirror every 2 seconds. The black car never came back. But even now, when I drive late at night, I feel it sometimes, like there's someone just behind me. Not chasing, just watching, waiting for a reason.